Okay, we're going to expand our idea today about the Phillips curve after an expansionary monetary or fiscal policy that's going to create inflation. So, with that idea, we're going to have our equilibrium at point A on long-run aggregate supply. Okay, you can pause this right now to get caught up on setting this all up. Okay, now when you start again, these are both going to be point A. So this is an equilibrium, this is an equilibrium. Now, imagine we have some kind of expansionary policy. And that expansionary policy can be fiscal policy, which is lowering taxes or government spending, or it can be monetary policy. And that's with reserve ratio being lowered, buying bonds, or lowering the Fed's funds rate. Okay, anything that's going to lead to lower interest and higher investment. Okay, so if those things are to make aggregate demand increase, you can tell that it's going to make prices go up. Because remember, anytime we have an increase in output, that's going to make us use resources, and when people demand stuff, the prices are going to go up. Okay, so we can illustrate that as a point B. Now, that point B, once again, we need a mirror on the Phillips curve. So anytime you have an aggregate demand increase, it's going to be a movement along the short-run Phillips curve. So now we're going to have our movement up to this point B. All right. So as you can tell right here, this inflation is higher than this inflation rate. Okay, remember that's just our price levels. So if we go over here, look at it, that's price level, and that's price level also. So whenever prices go up, say you have a job and all of a sudden everything around you gets more expensive, what are you going to need? You're going to need a raise at your job. So when you need a raise at your job and you ask for higher wages, that's going to affect suppliers because they're the ones who pay you at your job. So this is what we call a ratchet effect, or whenever basically wages are going to be flexible. So when people start demanding higher wages, that's going to mean they don't have money to pay more workers. And when that happens, what's going to happen is GDP is going to end up decreasing. So if we were right here at that level, we're going to have to come back to the long run anyways. We always find a way back to equilibrium. Okay? So now all of a sudden, short run supply, I know you guys haven't done long run adjustments in a little bit, and that's going to shift back to the left. So now we're at point C right here. So with these inflation adjustments, now workers get paid more. Now all of a sudden prices are just higher in the long run. They settle in. So if I take this all the way over to here, you kind of realize that now I have a higher price level. I have more inflation. So as inflation keeps rising, guess what? This is going to shift back to equilibrium. So we went over here with our unemployment rate, and we end up going back in the long run. This is what we call a long run reconciliation or long run adjustment by the Phillips curve. I know it looks complicated, but I wanted to go down or make sure we go step by step with each of these. Okay, so expansionary policy is going to create inflation. Okay, now we have to settle into that inflation in the long run. So that Phillips curve, you can see the mirror of long-run supply and long-run Phillips curve, and how we end up at the same place. We can be at equilibrium with higher prices in the long run, and that happens over time. Think about Great Depression when prices were a nickel for bread, but over time it just keeps going up and up and up and up. Even if prices and wages are flexible, that's going to happen in that type of system. Okay, so I hope that explains that a little bit.